Hi guys, and thank you for joining me. This is going to be your 2015 review reading. I know it's coming in the end of January. However, I think that it's still going to provide you guys with all the questions that you have. So answer all the questions that you have for the month. I'm reading with the Alexander Danilov Tarot deck, and I'm using only the trumps from his deck. But the deck with the lower arcana, which is all 78 cards, I am selling on my website, and you can get the link below. I believe this deck is one of the best decks out there, and that's why I chose it. So, without further ado, let's begin your reading. Hello Aries, and thank you for joining me for this is your 2015 forecast through my channel Varouche Tarot. I'm super excited to be able to do this for you today, and I thank you very much for your support in 2014. So this is a two-part special, which means that there will be a link at the end of this video to connect you to the second part. I'm reading with 22 trumps, which means I'm using the entire arcana to read for 2015 for your sign. Make sure to watch for your moon and your rising sign if this is your sun sign. So make sure to watch the videos for all aspects of your chart that are relevant to you. So without further ado, I just want to give this a little bit more of a shuffle. And then I'll give it a cut. And I'll lay out the cards and begin. You're not the only one with the Tower card in that position. And remember, you'll see all the cards come out, so don't worry about each card, because you will see everything come through. Alright, so Aries, interesting year for you. I'll break down each of the parts in this video, and that's why it's two parts, because it's getting really long to film as one video. So I'll begin shortly. I'm just taking an account of all the cards. You in the position have a very powerful card. It's the Magician. You're really creating a reality for yourself in 2015. And here is your card, the Emperor, which is the card of Aries. And it's interesting here because Temperance is actually the combination of Spirit, which is fire, with water, which is the Chariot. But I'll get to that in just a second. Actually, I'll get to that in part 2. So if you're interested, it's the first thing I'll talk to you in part 2. So let's begin. So I use a little pad in order to help identify the cards more clearly and speak to them directly. Keeps everything focused, and I hope that works for you. So at the center of the reading we have the Moon. So issues of this time are to do with the secret language of yin energy, which is nonverbal, it's very passive, and it's in the back of your mind. This comes through as dreams or intuition, intuitive moments, flashes of judgment, that sort of thing. This card also says that there may be some duplicitous things going on around you, although in your reading I don't see that really going on. The Moon is the ultimate feminine card, and it's really closely associated with the High Priestess, and she's right here. So this is about intuition and getting in touch with the subtle currents of intuition and And sometimes that is quite obscure and hard to understand. So it's a very passive sort of center card. But I think it's there for a reason, and we're going to see why. What crosses it is the Justice card, which essentially says that something that was off balance against your favor is now in balance towards your favor. So where you've been treated unfairly in the past, you will be treated more fairly going forward. In combination with the Moon, the Justice card suggests that maybe you're making some choices in your private space to make things matter for you more fair in the public space. In fact, you're making decisions, which we'll talk about in your undercurrents, that create a more positive environment for you. And the whole thing is channeling really insight and deeper thought. So insight into future things and insight in through your intuition and forward thinking, imagination, that sort of thing. This year will be a great time for creativity, particularly writing something like a memoir or writing and describing events that would somehow clarify your position on things. So you may use art or creativity as a means to express yourself and to show to the world your private world and to communicate those kinds of intricacies. Okay? So let's look at the next triad. And so the next triad has to do a lot with your social and external manifestation throughout the year. You see here the High Priestess, the Empress, and the Sun. These are both yin cards, obviously, and this is a yang card, which is closely associated with your card, the Emperor. In fact, the Sun is Ra, who is the Sun, who is the fire sign. Whereas the Empress and the High Priestess are closely associated with feminine principles, and with the Moon they form the triad of women's experiences. But what predominates in your social sphere is the High Priestess. The High Priestess is closely associated with the Oracle. The Oracle means that sometimes when you approach people for answers, particularly about the future, you may not get what you exactly hoped for. The answers of the Oracle are not there to befriend you, they're there as they are. And so this year you may kind of come up against stark realizations about people, and in particularly women in your life, be it your mother, yourself as a woman, or your wife. This can be illuminating in a positive sense, which is modified by the Sun, but also there may be mysteries that are involved that may confuse you and make it hard for you to really understand what's going on. In particular, women in your life may act as the Oracle this year and offer you guidance and suggestions, so listen to them. The card also suggests that there may be some kind of dishonesty or duplicitous, dishonesty, but more so to do that there may be undercurrents or subtext that you're not exposed to. So this alternative motivation, there may be alternative motivations for people with regard to things. Those people may sweeten the deal for you. Those people may kind of make you feel more comfortable in order for you to gain your trust and affection. In particular, this can happen in the second quarter here, which we'll talk about on the second part. And so they may try to gain your affection by seeing that you feel stuck in a certain predicament that you're involved in. So they may take advantage of the fact that you feel stuck, that you don't know which way to go, and you don't really quite know what to do, and they may seem and offer you some kind of incentive to move forward on what they want, but that may not necessarily be what's best for you. But overall, in your friends and family position, you have a really wonderful year set ahead. This is your social prominence. You yourself might take on the role of a truth seeker or the intermediary between higher principles and what is on earth. The High Priestess doesn't really have much to do with morality. That's more associated with the Hierophant. The High Priestess just describes things as they are. She is the eternal watcher. She sees between the veil of earth and the higher order of things. And in particular, she understands the role of women, the cycles of women, and the natural having children and those kinds of things. So you may feel really connected to the family building aspect through a woman's lens. Okay, so we're going to take the next triad now, and that's the undercurrent. I like this part. So in the undercurrent, you're making some decisions in new directions. And that's really associated with having cleared the path and being absolved of your karmic residue and really wanting to break free from things that bind you from the past. I think you come to terms with things that you feel guilty about in the past and want to move forward in a positive new direction. I think you feel empowered and ready to go and set up on a new trail. Although at times you may be not sure which way to go, you do kind of have an abstract goal in mind, but nothing specific. This may be a time when you also meet a soulmate. This year is a really good chance that you meet a soulmate and begin a new adventure with them. The encounter will produce something new, and really the encounter will produce a clearing of your karmic past and an ability to open a new chapter in your life and go forward. Remember, all kinds of soulmates produce all various kinds of results. It's not unilateral. So you may experience that there's different kinds of outcomes that will come out of your interaction with this person. Overall, I think that you will be excited to start new ventures and that you'll be ready to get rid of the things of the past and leave them where they are. You will actually finally let go of some people who have passed and say goodbye to them forever. So you kind of find closure with regards to people who have passed in your life. Maybe people who have clung to your life in your heart and people who you haven't been able to let go of. This is the year of closure for you, and so you'll be able to move forward in new directions. You may feel quite lonely at times. You may feel lonely in kind of the existential way, which means that you may not feel really kinship or proximity or closeness to people around you. And you may not see also the purpose of everything that's going on, which you'll find quite confusing. But you'll keep pushing on into new beginnings. In fact, you may have several beginnings this year, particularly on a private level. So, for example, you may determine that something is important to you in one way and begin in that direction, only to find that that thing doesn't really fit into what you need, and then wanting to switch in a new direction. So the Fool kind of says that throughout the entire year this year, you're going to become going in new directions, maybe even possibly exploring different academic directions without really finding a solution for what you need right away. But remember, as you go through everything, you're in the right place at the right time. So even though you may feel alone, alienated, or cut off from other people, in fact, you're really where you need to be at this place in time. This has got much more to do with freeing you from the shackles of the past and the ability to move forward in a healthy way, in such a way that those things from the past do not follow you. So this is really about making sure that your new beginning is laying a good foundation. How about that? Laying a good foundation for your new beginning and really beginning to take on new things without even a concern that something from the past will follow you. In particular, you're kind of worried about your situations in social circumstances to have follow you in the past. You're concerned that maybe some of the fun that you've been having is going to trickle down and follow your path. I think that you see the way that which some of the people that you know function. You know that they are gossips. You know that they look into other people's pockets, and you know that you're not quite safe. It's not a terrible experience, it's just knowing who you're playing with. Let's take a look at the center for a minute and look at things a little bit more closely. So here we have the Moon and the Justice card. So subtlety and moving forward in new directions to a place that's more fair to you. I get the sense that maybe socially you have been even overshadowed a bit, which is really hard for Aries because you guys like to take the limelight anyway. But however way you've been overshadowed, you can actually find your way through the darkness into another path. And I don't mean through the darkness in a negative way, it's just an alternative route. You take an alternative route to get to where you're going. The people in your social sphere who will always kind of want to be superseding you, be it with money or social status or anything like that, they'll always be that way. And you're coming to terms with that on a personal level. And you're peacefully getting your affairs settled to get ready to move forward. And that's the big transition. There's something within you that's feeding you, that's telling you to move forward in a new direction, away from people who may be just so ambitious that it's hard to be around them. And you find that at this point in your life, that ambition thwarts your progress, and so essentially that's not what you want either for yourself. The circumstances that are leading up to this. Hold on. So in the past experience, we have the Death card. The Death card means that there was a fundamental change with regard to how things were. Remember I mentioned to you that you were finally able to let go of some kind of emotional tie to something or someone? Well, the Death card kind of suggests that maybe someone in the past has passed away, particularly someone really significant to you, and maybe very not that long ago. But the experience that you're transitioning from into the present is that of reclusion. So it's as if something had died and shifted for you, and you've gone to reclusion to kind of deal with it and kind of find place in the world through your self-study and through your interaction with the world at large. So there was a fundamental transition. In the event that no one significant has passed away, then you yourself went through a change, and that change, when you came out on the other side, was something that you needed to kind of fit into the world and understand it from new perspectives. So you went out and you searched out on a personal journey to learn about how that fit into the world and how the world would want to interact with it from a global perspective. And so in terms of the Scorpio card, the Scorpio says also that maybe something in the past had stung you. Maybe you had waited on giving an answer on something, and the repercussions of that were not very good. And so maybe someone tried to hurt your feelings or scare you as a backhanded gesture to make you feel badly about your conduct. And so in that case, that situation that scorned you in that way made you want to be alone, made you want to study and focus on the world and understand, because you had a disillusioned experience through that, because that person essentially exploited their position, and you yourself had to kind of figure out, how can people be so cruel, this is unjust, or this is so unreasonable. And so being a just person or seeking justice yourself, you didn't find an understanding for what could motivate such behavior, and it seemed very careless for those people to treat you that way. And so essentially what you started doing was looking into books, looking into personal experiences, and looking into like the bright light of life, and looking to the most positive experiences you could see, and also connect to the world at large and look through a variety of perspectives in order to gain more understanding to what happened to you in the past. Alright, so this is the foundation from which 2015 will begin. Next, I'll begin with the fortune future part a little bit more in part 2. I hope you guys enjoyed this overview, and I look forward to doing part 2 in just a little bit. Thank you.